Oh, yeah.
You're making it rain? Look at you. That's okay. You're like a newscaster now.
Okay,
Back to you, Jen.
everybody ready to go? Action?
Yep,
We're
we're
on.
ready.
Call the meeting to order. Addition to the agenda. Anyone in? Brent or Tim? Nope. Good, Jack?
Nope.
Jen?
Yes, I want to talk about flood mitigation ideas.
Number 4?
Well, being prepared, I guess. And I'd like to talk a bit about economic development and fund that we found at Roma. My County of Renfrew update this week will be about the Roma conference, and I'll spend some time on that. Thank you.
Nothing there, Murph.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended. Anyone have any peculiar interest to declare? Seeing none. Approval of minutes of the committee meeting January 7th, 2020. Any errors, omissions, spelling mistakes? No. Motion to approve the minutes. Tim? Kevin, you're on.
I guess, well, everybody received a report. This year we had a young group that decided to have a New Year's party. Anyways, it was well attended, went very well. First, it's been a while, I think, since we had one, so it was a younger group, no doubt, but they had fun. Our tournaments are in full swing. We've had a few people, I guess, Jen, you might have brought it up the previous about people on the ice or something, or?
Yes, that was actually because some of our lovely residents happened to see kids sort of tobogganing on the mound of snow. And of course, the river is semi-frozen, but so just a concern about,
Now,
do we have it signed enough?
that's hard to say. Now, where is this the outdoor rink or behind the arena?
Behind the arena,
Okay.
yes.
There is signs there, and I put additional signs up there
Perfect.
again. So yeah, it's hard to.
I know you can sign things all day long.
Mhm.
People have to, it's care and control, but I just, this has been such an unusual year with the freeze and thaw that I would hate to think that a
Oh.
kid,
Yeah, we don't want that at all.
no.
But you wouldn't want them tobogganing behind the arena though,
The thing is,
because that water varies from.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, not the arena, I mean, if you're the outdoor rink, you were thinking they were tobogganing down there? That hill?
I don't know. I think it was more the outdoor rink,
Okay.
or not the outdoor rink, but the arena.
The arena, yeah.
Because the outdoor rink, the water can vary with how much water comes out of the dam, right? It can open and not a lot of ice there.
No, for sure.
Such a shame because that's a great toboggan hill by the outdoor rink. I'm just saying,
If you want to get wet,
that's a really good toboggan hill.
Toboggan and swim at the same time.
That's right. It's a decathlon.
Cass is doing a first aid training up in Kermit this weekend. Anyways, the canteen, I'll have better numbers in the season, but as of right now, it's looking positive, better.
And that was just that minor.
Well, a few
increase?
changes. There is
Oh, okay.
a few changes, hours and buy-in.
Better snacks and stuff, or more selection.
Sweeter snacks.
Sweeter snacks.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
More
good.
to attend.
or cheese.
The outdoor rink, it's
Yeah.
work in progress, one of those things.
One thing, Kevin, I had seen last night, the kids from the library, the Buchel kids were down at the outdoor rink
Yes.
and they were playing broom ball and such or whatever, I think, on there. And I was just wondering, Kevin, I noticed some of their equipment, they were creative with it, but is there any way if we could get some of the maybe hockey parents that aren't using any sticks and such, maybe to see if there's a donation spot for that, or is there anywhere we can keep some of that stuff down there? So if the kids do show up and want to play, like, how would that work? Or do you think stuff would go missing, or what do you think they're doing?
Possibly a little bit of missing, and yeah, it's hard to say. We could try it, but I'm not sure. You put it there and they're all gone, and I guess if it's there, it's there.
I don't
I
know.
think it's a worthwhile ask of people, because one kid was using a shovel to play broom ball.
They put a sign on it, loan.
Well, just stick it in our next
Just-
newsletter or something if you're.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was
Drop it
thinking, you
off.
know, I mean, and if somebody does take it to play with it at home, it's not a big loss either, at least the kids are still using them, right?
Exactly.
As long as they're not going around breaking things
Or
with
throwing them
them.
in the river.
That's right, you know, and of course, the library hasn't asked, or is there some way we could set it up in a spot where maybe we could give, if it's a library function or another function, that if somebody was going down, they'd have access to it, you know?
Yeah.
That might be a pointer, and then just put it back when they're done in a certain location where it may be locked up.
Well, sort of a similar to our lending hub.
Mhm.
But only for the kids in the
Yeah.
winter that they, you know, if they wanna go play,
Yeah.
you know? I don't know, it's
No,
just
it's
something I noticed, you know, and I like, you know, there's so
Yeah.
many people, and I've got some stuff at home too, and I'll gladly donate it, right? Let the kids play.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I really like to see them out there doing that rather than sitting on any little device.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true. Okay.
Try and get them out to play.
So I think that we can do sort of a two-pronged approach here. Maybe just put up a small poster in the arena and then we can throw it in the newsletter.
Just like I say, to help the kids out, because some people can't afford that equipment to go play with,
Exactly.
right? So whatever we can do.
Or why would you buy equipment when you're talking about going out and playing a little shinny
Mhm.
Mhm.
on an outdoor rink twice in the entire season? Right?
Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, we can, it's worth a try.
yeah,
The season's short right now. I'd like to
Oh, yeah.
try it out, but
Mhm.
it's worth a try.
Season's weird.
Yeah, for sure. McRae Park, the project is completed now, so I have some pictures here. I want to pass around of inside and outside of the finished project.
So one of the things, I had a meeting earlier with the co-president of the EACDG, and one of the things that's come up over and over and over again is a washroom down beside the creamery where our parking is. And because because we already have the plans for this, the ask was if a grant comes up, could Dana possibly apply for it? I don't know what kind, hi Deb, I don't know what, this was a very specific one, this grant, but I know that there are others out there.
Our whitetail for a golf tournament, talked to Derek and we're booked in for July the 3rd in this year, so same as last year kind of deal, so. I was talking to Trish,
Kevin, just hang on, sorry to interrupt, are these plastic walls?
they're the same as, yes.
They're
not-
like a polymer,
Yes, they're same as the tour information booth. We went basically the same because it's easy to maintain. And
That's for
cleaning
sure.
is really easy. It just,
I was looking at that, you might be able to use a pressure washer if you have.
well,
to.
well, that's the stuff that they use in dairy barns on
It's exactly,
on the
yeah.
ceiling,
it's
right?
exactly the same.
Yeah.
Similar, very similar.
Right, yeah, less intense model, right? But this is great. Fantastic, wow, even has the baby changing table. Very nice, sorry to interrupt.
Anyways, met with horticultural, Trish, Darrell, and we went up to the Legion Field. They're looking some planting some trees. And in conversation, we were chatting about maybe planting a permanent tree at the tour information booth as opposed to trying to find one every year. We get a sizable one, plant it and groom it to our kind of height, and then it's there for.
I really like that
You
idea.
know anybody that has a tree spade around?
Well,
Getting a bigger one, doing it by hand is a humongous job.
Yeah.
And getting it right.
Murph, do you have a tree spade?
God knows. One was thinking about an 8-foot circle. I'll donate the tree.
It's a really,
But I
really,
haven't
really
I haven't
nice
seen any on
idea.
the road since I moved here.
Oh, I've seen some tree spades out and about.
They have, eh?
Yeah, so they're out there.
Because in Coburg, I
Just
know, the Coburg, I know I could borrow one.
And we had a request from the farmer's market to put a sign up at Foreign Street, just directing them towards the Legion Field for Farmers Market. Now, here's what we have there now, and we can add that to the bottom of it. And I was thinking, just a suggestion is removing the youth center sign and put splash pad in.
Great
'Cause
idea,
we do not have.
because
so-
our youth center isn't a youth center.
Correct, now, but the splash pad is there, so we can put that.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And move on.
Yeah. So funny how you drive by those signs like every day and you forget, like you're not really focusing on them. So I'm glad that the farmer's market brought it up just so that you had a fresh eyes on it.
Yeah, and I was talking to Jason there this morning, so there's no issue, just another sign below, and we're eliminating an odd one, so it's all good. And this is Dana's report here. The youth dances are all sponsored for the next coming month, or right through till June. We're holding a babysitting course January 31st upstairs, Eagles Nest. She's submitting a tender to Renfrew County for the Taste of Valley. See if we can join in.
The Taste of Valley is a pretty popular event. It'd be nice to see that come on board.
Yeah.
For
The
sure.
one in Cobden is outstanding.
It is. I've been to there and to Renfrew and Deep River.
I didn't think Renfrew's as well attended as Cobden was.
Cobden was
Yeah,
extremely phenomenal this year, for sure.
well, fingers crossed,
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to have in our area.
absolutely.
And Dana has the zoning at the bottom there, so.
Yep.
She's, outside of that, any questions from council?
No, the only thing I think it was more like up Legion Field, if we're able to maybe work with like maybe the soccer and the baseball, see if we can get like a volunteer run canteen.
Okay.
Just going, like, just see the potential, look into that. Just volunteer driven, obviously, just maybe between the coaches and the parents. Just I don't know, we have the youth center up there and stuff, so maybe there's some interest for some of the parents, especially there's a lot of kids up there. The baseball's all on generally one night, and soccer and stuff. So
Soccer's really, soccer shoot is very big,
yeah,
very big.
so I was just kind of thinking, we have the space up there, we might as well see if there's some people in the community that want to utilize it. So.
Okay.
And further to that, Brent, we also have other community groups that like to do, like to use it for sort of a mini fundraiser, like the skating club's done it. So I mean, yeah, I think a little outreach to see if anybody,
Well,
Yeah.
it's the perfect way to fundraise for whatever they want,
exactly.
you know.
Hey, I'll
see
put
the
Meg in there and
neighborhood.
she can do a lemonade stand. We get all the kids going. But like end of the day, it's just so there's an option for just
Yeah.
when the kids are out there in the hot sun and stuff.
And also if, like I know in our community in Douglas here, they just have a group of kids, they run the canteen, but also they have a cooler to go out right to the ball field.
Yeah.
Like our canteen is kind of removed from
From
where
the
the
side.
action is.
Oh yeah.
So
Hey, they can have cardio going back and forth there, Kevin. It's an active canteen.
They'll get their steps in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of cold beer are they trying?
No, but in all honesty, just put it out there with
Yeah.
We're gonna see if there's any interest, especially with the parents, because they're all starting to register and get ready for the spring and summer.
Well, and now with those big coolers that are on wheels,
Yeah.
you really could do like, no, I'm not saying a golf cart, like a bar cart, but I'm just thinking
that's a good idea.
I'm just thinking, to further what they're doing in Douglas, you're not talking about kids like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they're on wheels and,
They have
Yeah.
they have the additional, they have the canteen also, but they have the smaller kids go right to the bleachers kind of deal. And
Yeah.
like, it's just a water, but it's there.
yeah,
Just something that I just thought would be beneficial.
well, as you just said, Brent, in the hot sun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's stay hydrated, people.
And what's the progress with basketball? Have you guys ordered anything or what's?
I have not ordered anything. We're gonna post that in the budget. And we have ordered the one for Centennial Park, and that's 6 to 8 weeks. And at the end of budget time, if we want to move forward with that, there'd be no problem, just order it, and boom, and away we go.
But 6 to 8 weeks, that's a long time.
So because budget is quite a ways away.
I was gonna say the same thing.
So like, because there was talk, I thought last fall that we were gonna order something before the end of the year.
We did.
But-
We ordered it for Centennial Park.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying Sebastopol, it's been on the back burner for a long time now, so I just don't understand. What are we expecting from them? Or what is our budget that we're going to put in for, because they're even willing to contribute, so I don't understand, we're not getting any contribution to Centennial Park.
True.
So,
We'll say Centennial Park, is roughly about 3,200, I think, that was put in from the development fund.
Yeah.
That's what was brought in, same as about $500 for, that was for like the benches and stuff as well.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick this up. We made a commitment to the people.
Yeah.
That of Sebastopol, well, not of Sebastopol, of the people using that up Yongo Park. Kevin, I would say this council made a commitment. I would go ahead and order it and we will fit it into the budget. We made the commitment
Mhm.
and they are willing to kick in money. And I think if we're talking $3,200 and they've got 1,000, it is not a budget buster and it's something that we said we would do for them.
so,
Yeah,
And
no,
because 6 to 8 weeks,
yeah,
no, that's,
because we need it, because all of a sudden there might be a rush and now it's 10 to 12 weeks, right? And you're missing it again, so.
and I was talking to Danny prior to probably late November, early December. And we gave him that one proposal and he was thinking of an older group, like we kind of gave him,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 till 9 maybe. And he was looking for a maybe additional, like
Yeah.
older group. And kind of went back to the drawing board, and as you went older, the price went up.
Yeah, but I would, instead of just sitting it and letting it sit, I would contact them again.
Yeah.
Find out how much it is, and then send an email to council and say if it's, whatever it is, if it's instead of 35, if it's 45 or 5, we have to do some sort of commitment.
Oh, no,
because-
absolutely.
Because we can't just say, oh, it's 6 to 8 weeks and then it's 10 to 12 weeks and then you missed another year,
Mhm.
you know?
But
Like-
is the new one probably gonna be 10, 15, or 20 grand we're talking about? Like the difference between the age groups for the commercial grade? Is there a split? Like that's because I think we put five, it was $5 in the budget, I believe, last year, off the top of my head. That's why
But we
directly
never
went
spent
to
it. up
No, and that's what I'm saying is, and then there's, I think, $3 for the Nature's Play structure as well.
I just think we have to get moving on this, because there was a commitment
Yeah. no,
before the end of the year, so find out what it is they want, get us a price so that we can move on this,
Yeah.
because this can't just keep being pushed back.
okay, so hang on a sec. The 5 of us have discretionary funds that we have never used. Here we are. So we have money in our council budget that has not been used. And I would say that when we get a quote, I would like to take some of that money from us. Where's the budget there? Because I know our discretionary account, none of us have used it. So we'll do a little calculation on that maybe.
Oh, you're talking about the $400 discretionary?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just think if council has money in their budget
Yeah.
that hasn't been utilized, again, this was a commitment we
Yeah.
made and I want to see it happen. And we're now at the end of January, so if you're talking 6 to 8 weeks, you're talking basically installation in April.
Yeah, that's-
Or perhaps maybe May, which I don't want to see this
No,
go,
no.
yeah.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
contact Danny
Thanks, Kev.
this week or
Yeah.
maybe get in touch with them and say, okay, we're moving forward with this. What additional funds you have kind of deal, and we're looking, basically, we're moving forward on it and we're picking up the difference.
And that's basically what, get it going, get one piece in anyway.
Get a quote and see where we go from there. See what.
Don't be afraid to take the lead on it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, you can send us out an email, but this is your department and we're behind you and we will figure it out.
Okay.
Okay?
I think that's the end of my report.
Bye, Kev.
Yeah.
See you, Kevin.
Take care.
Sure.
Steve isn't due till 2:30. We want to go to correspondence?
Why don't we go to Annette?
Okay.
You want me to come up there?
No, you can go from there if you want. Whatever you want.
Nice to see your nameplates in there, Annette.
Yeah,
It is, yes, it is, yeah, for sure.
very nice. That only took, what, 3 months? 2 months?
3 weeks.
So, you'll see in your packages, you have the December financial reports. I don't know if you want to go through those, or you want me to just go through the report, and then if there's questions, ask them after?
Whatever you want. I was just going to say, I don't often comment on the income statement throughout the year because I know that timing of different expenses and different revenues coming in, you might look like you're over budget on something, but you haven't realized something else, or something is way under budget, but an item hasn't been posted yet or not received yet. So I think of it in quarters, and I stay cautiously optimistic, but I think that at the end of 2019, we're realizing that we're in a fairly good position as far as surplus goes. So a couple of things. Number one, obviously, we have to wait for our auditors to do their magic. But I would put it out that whatever surplus that we realize in 2019, we certainly need to keep our eye on the ball with Augsburg Road. So I would like us to seriously consider when we get to that stage, that whatever monies we have, we actually earmark for Augsburg Road, because that is our next priority in our asset management plan.
So other than the financials, we have the council remuneration report is also in the packages that has to be reported on every year. We have to be transparent and let the public know. So I don't know if there's any questions on that report.
So I need people to understand that the totals, it looks like I made 25,000 and Brent made 23,000. Brent did not make $23,000. In the chart, it's got expenses, and I don't even like the word expenses. Now, we have to report, our CAO has to report what council cost the ratepayers throughout the year. But when we go to a conference, we're not making that money. That money is going to conference fees and to meals and to hotel. So I think that the word expense isn't really the right word, but go ahead.
I just want to know maybe if there's a way we can itemize it so the public has a better understanding of where that money is going.
That's where I was headed to.
Just to kind of
Yeah.
show that, somebody's not just making
Well,
it rain.
especially because you're covered by the county last year, so this year you're gonna be like, oh, Jen's expenses jumped up all significantly
Mhm.
because
Exactly.
we're paying for the conferences now. And that's the thing, because I was looking, I was like, holy geez, it's like, oh, that's Roma conference.
Exactly.
That's
I
right.
It's
picked
like
up on that.
and
but
that's why they pay and stuff, but I haven't got a call about it, but I don't really foresee it coming anyways. But I know yours is kind of something you want to clarify, because this year you won't be paid for by the county.
Well,
So-
one conference I will,
Oh, okay.
AMA will, but
Yeah.
not Roma.
Yeah.
But that's not even, It's the word expense, because I think that that makes it look like we're charging for other things. Realistically, it should be like maybe, I don't know, maybe have a separate line item of conference or
That's doable.
something, I don't know, something that shows the public, you know, what that $2,200 is on yours. And I think, you know, when we get to the Roma conference, I'm gonna put another thing out there. We are professional lobbyists, and going to these conferences, this isn't a should we go, this is we must go, right? This is the way we get ourselves in front of the ministers. This is the way we make relationships, and we bring back information and take delegations with them to bring rural issues to them personally. And so I think that, I know these conferences are so expensive, but they're so necessary. And I would say that you and I got a lot out of Roma last year. And obviously the AMO conference last August, that was an incredible conference to go to. And Annette and I will both report on Roma, but certainly we got our money's worth out of that conference as well. So I just think that that's, you know, the public needs to understand. But Annette and I were doing some quick math, and we're each, 0.3% of our budget, of our total budget. It's, yeah, so that, you know, I think it's good that we keep in mind that this is taxpayers' money, we don't overpay. Yeah, so I wanted to bring that up because I think when you see the totals, there's a lot of disparity, right? You went to OSUM, right, Tim, and Jack went to OSUM. Merv didn't go to a conference. Brent went to Roma, which is way more expensive, Roma, which is way more expensive. So it does look weird on the schedule.
But I agree with you. I haven't gone because I've gone to all of them before, let the new guys go. But yeah, it's valuable. When we were recruiting for help, I was on a first name basis with the deputy minister, so to speak.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, and it gives us an opportunity to give our residents a little bang for their buck as well, you know, for sure. Bring that in and
Yeah.
try and get some.
Yeah, but I've heard it before from, well, he really holds the council, isn't he? You know, like,
Oh,
Brett's
yeah.
up there and comparing, no, they're really holding. That's not the case.
I know.
It's not the case.
Well, and I consider us very lucky. I think for the last, I'm gonna say 10 conferences I've gone to, I've managed to get up to the microphone at every one of them. And that is in large part due to my colleagues in Renfrew County, and this time for Annette, who was Eagle Eye Gilchrist finding 3 seats right next to microphone number 2, because it's dog eat dog when you get up to that mic, like their elbows flying.
In the Bears den.
What's that?
I see in the Bears den.
That's right, in the Bears pit, that's right. So, you know, when you manage to get up there and you're face to face with all the ministers and they're all sitting there wondering, who is she going to ask the question of? It's sort of fun to watch.
I hope they've got around well, in 1949, we did it.
No.
None of those 10.
No, when we get there, I'll tell you what my question was.
I'm not saying you, but if you've heard them.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll also see in the report that both Sandra Barr and myself are applying to get our accredited Ontario municipal clerk designations. So we will be putting that forward. It's due, I think, by the middle of March. So we've been working on putting all of that information together to become accredited municipal clerks. So that's
awesome.
We're working towards that. The ISIP, the green stream for water, wastewater, stormwater has been submitted. So that is about 2.8 million, 900,000 for the municipality. So if we get it, that's a significant funding opportunity for us for John Street. So that'd be all of the infrastructure that's under it. They also allow you to, of course, dig out to get to the infrastructure and replace the surface of the road back to what it was. You can't, make significant improvements or anything like that, but you can definitely replace that there. So we're gonna,
When would we hear back about that grant?
we probably won't go back, I think, until the summer or the fall, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a longer period, but we didn't schedule it in until design would start. If you have until 2026 to spend the money, so design would be start in 2021, construction over 2022, 2023, so we have time.
But the thing is, that's hot mix already, so,
Yeah.
we're okay.
Well, and that's the oldest section of the sewage system too,
Yeah,
is that's
yeah,
the old pass, I
absolutely.
think, all connected together.
No, so like, if we have to stick with replacement, we've already got the top
Yeah.
there, so.
So there were varying answers on when we were gonna hear about that.
Yeah.
Somebody said spring, but then Lori Scott said, no, it would be more like
Yeah.
end of summer, beginning of fall. So I wondered if, I can't remember who answered the question earlier, but I'm wondering if they got two different, because there's also the modernization fund,
Yes.
and some of those are coming out in the spring. Well, some of them already came out,
Yes,
but
yes.
some of them are coming out in the spring, so I just wondered if that was the error.
That could have been the
Yeah.
error, yeah. And then just created an action item list after, so every council meeting, so I have monthly tabs, just to sort of track what direction council gave, who did they give it to, and just track what's been done and when it's been done, and just a way of tracking to make sure that everything that council sort of report has been accomplished by the date.
Very efficient way of doing it.
Yes.
And department heads, I've been in touch with everyone and scheduled 3 meetings so far, and we're gonna continue to move forward. I'm trying to fit myself in wherever I can. If staff is having, I think that the waste guys are coming in as well for a training opportunity next week. So just every opportunity I get to reach out and meet staff, I'm trying to do so, but I don't wanna make a special opportunity where people are all coming in or whatever. If you're coming out to have a meeting or do some training or have an event, I'd love to come out and just meet everybody. So that's coming along. The chief building official, Mark's monthly building statistics are attached as well. I don't know if there's any questions in regards to that. And Dana's planning report that came out of the public meeting we had at the last meeting. So the zoning bylaw will be coming to council following this meeting today. And Kevin already touched on her recreation community development report. So, and as far as Roma's concerned, I think as Mayor Murphy was stating, like, it was a great conference. The 2 sessions that I attended, one was on the environmental assessment. They're reviewing that, the Environmental Assessment Act, they're reviewing that act. And basically with the goal to shorten the approval process. I guess there's certain projects that, the approval process is going, like, sometimes it's like 700 days, like it's a long time. So they're moving them into, I guess the categories are like A, B, C. So they're moving a lot of them into the A and the B, or A and B plus categories, which is a smaller time frame for stuff that's just, you're just renewing or you're just replacing or it's not a whole new development. And so they're just kind of doing some cleanup on that act. So that was a good session, as well as the impact session, just finding out what's happening, because this is an assessment year coming up, so everyone's going to be getting their notices coming out in February and March. So, that causes a lot of questions of, what is my assessment, when did it go up, and what's happening, and whether or not any of the tax classes we're going to have anything that we should be concerned about, like the big box stores like Walmart and Canadian Tire are again taking a massive decrease. So that's going to affect some of the other municipalities in Renfrew County, as it did in the last round. But residential seems to be staying relatively stable. Farm is increasing about 30% overall. Now that's over 4 years, and then they only pay 25%. So that's, it sounds drastic, but let's say it's like 2% or 3% a year. It's not as drastic as it sounds. And commercial, so for small commercial, still going up, still doing well. But like I said, for the bigger box stores, it's still a challenge for them. So, and Impact's willing to come and sit here if we'd like to make a day so that people can come in and talk to them directly. Let's bring them to us. They're more than willing to do that. So we may schedule some of that, and of course, be looking for the My Property app and on the website. So please go and check it out. And, if you have concerns, definitely, get them addressed before the roll comes out and then the taxes come out and then you have to go through the write-off process. let's try and deal with it up front. So watch for those in the mail for sure.
I think that's a really good idea to hold an event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Annette was saying after that particular session that the big box stores they're on the decline because of online shopping.
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
So,
I drive past that big Amazon
Mm.
warehouse
Yeah.
down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Oh my, and the last time I was down, it wasn't there.
I've been
It was
watching
6
it
months and
develop
it
over.
went
I
up,
know,
right?
yeah.
And it's massive, I think 3 million square feet or
Yep.
something like that.
Is it really?
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah,
Yeah, I've been watching them build it every time I go down, and
You
it's
take off with a
yeah,
plane
it's-
on the roof.
it's impressive.
Wow.
It's amazing how fast they can get.
But now back to the environmental deal
Mhm.
there, Annette. That'll really help speed things along if we can get that red tape taken away from a lot of our projects, right?
I certainly hope so, and definitely the people that were in the room.
Absolutely.
They had the right people reviewing it from what was reported. They got the right team on board, so.
Because we see it so often and in most places in this modern world, nobody wants to do any harm to the environment to begin with.
Right.
And to reduce the wait times, you know, to do a simple project that you know you're just a replacement, that's excellent because that is an efficiency.
And they didn't have anything for things that are coming out for the, active transportation is is something new. So what happened is like there's a pedestrian bridge, right? So it's just a little wooden bridge over a little creek to get people out and walking, but it's not having a massive effect on the environment. It's just people walking through there. There's no vehicles, there's no, gas, there's nothing. It's just for people to enjoy the natural environment. So little things like that, it's a bridge. Okay, but it's not a bridge, right?
Right.
But they didn't have a category for it.
Yeah.
So things like that, they're trying to make work with the ministry. So I mean, I think it's
Well,
it's time.
Common sense.
In forestry, you see this strict regulations and stuff that, everybody has to adhere to.
Yeah.
And once you start doing these projects repeatedly, the crew most often than not know what steps to take to follow regulations, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, for sure. So you don't need a massive study to put up a little wooden. bridge. You just need
absolutely,
a-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be concerned with what you're doing, but not to that degree that's gonna take 700 days for approval, right?
Absolutely. yeah.
So, yeah, no,
Quite
it's good.
right.
It's crazy, 2 years.
What did it take us when we got the new waste? I mean, there was some controversy, but 17 years.
Yes, I believe
And we had to do
so.
assessments of light pollution, and there isn't a hydro line within a half a mile, and we don't work at night.
Oh, I was young and cute when that started. Not so much at the end of it, eh, Jack?
It was quite the endeavor.
Thanks for the update on that.
Okay. That takes care of that. Now where would you like to go?
Might as well do correspondence before Steve.
Okay. Handling of excess soil. Anybody? Anybody?
I had nothing on
Osprey
correspondence.
conference. No. Industry funding for blue box recycling. I should have brought it today. I got a book in the mail, they're talking about this in that thick. From Ritchie Auction in Alberta with
Mhm.
parts. Who's gonna pay for recycling that?
I don't want to get it, this was hot topic at Roma. And I'm waiting to see what comes out of their roundtable and transition teams. But at this point, I'm staying out of the fray.
Yeah.
Just, I want to see how this plays out.
How they're gonna do this
Yep.
for well, I'm just picking the farm magazine. The farm magazine, I get one in English and one in French.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
you know? Hey, who's gonna pay for the French one? AMO. Frequency Foundry Digital Program. Consultation recomposition of OPP detachment boards. Anything? No. Community Better Challenge Participation Action. Nope. Correspondence finished. Want to go to new and finished?
Sure.
Steve has got
May I
another.
make a comment on participation?
Yeah,
So, That is a competition across the country. And
Which one's
then
this then?
this is participation.
Oh, first action, yeah.
So, but they have all categories, right? So we're really participating across Ontario. So it's a competition. It's $150,000 for the winners. And then there are other small prizes. So it's the month of June 7th to the 21st. So, and you just show who can be the most active community. So I did have a discussion with Dana today to say, we have how many community groups here that we could reach out to? It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just asking them, what are you doing in June? And can you record it for us so that we can, so what you do is you just report back to them, here are all of the things that we did in June. And so we're probably already doing them. It's just a matter of recording them.
Well, the Silver Chain Challenge is in June, isn't it?
Right.
So, yeah,
So if we just start recording all of the activities that happen, that the township participates in from June 7th to 21st, I'm not saying we're going to win, but it's
Worth a shot.
it is.
It's worth a
Sure,
shot, because
absolutely.
we're
By all
already
means.
doing stuff. We know we are.
Yeah,
So we're definitely want to put that out there.
great.
Okay.
I like little community development.
Should send a correspondence to all the other municipalities and tell them that it's a terrible idea and then just get that 150 in no time.
Yeah, exactly. We're not doing it. Are you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, the cool people aren't doing it at all.
That's right.
No.
That's right. The cool
And then
kids
just,
are.
just undercut them. Win.
Bonjour, Monsieur Fagan.
Thank you.
Comment
Yeah,
ça va?
great idea.
Ça va, man, ça va. Bonjour, vous autres.
You pulled a Daryl this time. Like there's nothing in your report.
Yeah, a couple lines.
Yeah. It's like,
Nothing
It's
is
winter
here.
time. It's winter time.
yeah,
And I've been,
Balance the snow.
I've been quite busy working with Public Works on the MOE stuff, so
saw that. Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot else. So the only things that aren't included in the report is, we have a chainsaw operation and propane safety courses coming up. Our neighbors have been invited. And as always, if you know someone that needs that training, just tell them to get a hold of me and I'll tell them how much it is and when it's gonna be going on.
Annette really wanted to take the chainsaw one.
I already have, I have her signed up for the propane and construction course for in the spring when they were operating the steamers and the torches.
Excellent. You were the welding mask looking flash dance.
The Joint Health and Safety Committee is meeting for the first time this year tomorrow. If council has anything that needs to be brought up to the Joint Health and Safety Committee. We have extended an invitation to the library to have a seat on that committee. They're still thinking about it and we're just gonna go from there.
On the Health and Safety Committee, Mr. Joint Board, does the Works Department have chainsaw chaps in every vehicle with a chainsaw in it now?
Yes.
They do?
So that's pretty much it. It's been pretty quiet. And as I said, most of what I've been doing has been working with Public Works, getting this MOE stuff sorted out. So. Oh, I have one. That's why I have this here with me.
We say an emergency plan.
No, that's struck out. I sat down, I had started that in December and then I sat down with the CAO and we're going to be going over that and then bringing it back probably in February. So it's actually struck out.
I don't want to get you when you're on to something there, Steve. Just for clarification, when we did our exercise with the propane truck.
Yes.
The go-to place in Cormac, was that in the church basement or was it the building behind?
No, it's the Grange Hall, which is behind.
So,
You were right.
so
I thought you meant the
I
church
was
basement.
looking at that coming past the other day. If we're using that as evacuation point?
No, it was more of a one-time.
No,
shot.
so this is what struck me, because there's nothing plowed out around it,
That's right.
and I don't think there's any hydro or going to it or anything right
There isn't.
now. So that, I just wanted clarification that in the
Yeah.
upcoming event of that ever had to be done, that's probably not the best option to do. I noticed it going past the other day.
Yeah, that was kind of a
Okay, no,
one-time shot,
I
because it was summertime and,
Yeah,
but otherwise those issues would have been insurmountable,
hmm,
and everyone would have had to come into town here. So,
yes, no, but,
But the hall at St. Anne's would work.
there's no heat in it, and, there's some other, there's some structural issues.
Oh,
The grain, I'm talking about the Grange Hall, which is.
no, I'm
the-
talking about in St.
Basement of
Anne's,
St. Anne's.
in the basement of.
in the
the
basement of
church.
St. Anne's.
I've never looked at it all.
Oh,
What is the
No,
hall?
so,
There's a
so,
hall, yeah.
but, and this is what I'm saying, just for your clarification, in case there is an
Yeah.
emergency, we might want to get on top of that and not use a location that's not usable.
Because they use it as a polling hall, Steve. for
Yeah.
Elections.
that's where we vote.
But you may
it's all-
want to ask if the season in the winter. I don't know if they have church there in the winter or not.
If there's any plumbing in it, they'd have to, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, when I spoke to the diocese, I only spoke about the Grange Hall to them, but I will recontact them and actually talk about the.
Because if we're
the
planning
church.
an emergency, we might as well plan the right one.
I wasn't even thinking about the hall behind because I thought that it was almost a tear down.
Pretty much.
I'm just saying, like, it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah, at that time, I was just looking for something close.
Yeah.
For the exercise that feasibly close, for a
But-
short term.
But you see what I mean? If I took that and I said, okay, this is where we're going to go, because it was part of the exercise, I hate to send anybody there or even suggest that if it's not a suitable location. I just want to clarify.
Speaking of emergency management, just the right counselor, I want to have our first emergency management program committee meeting. I know you prefer Friday afternoons, so the 7th or the 14th, would that be good for you?
February?
Yep, they're both Fridays.
Is there a way to shove that into March?
Sure.
Just, I know the next,
As soon as
Just
that
that you
rolls
won't
around.
get as, yeah.
Exactly. Actually, if we can do it on a Saturday or a Sunday, that would be fine too. But,
We'll
No, I mean,
we'll have
if
to
it's
speak to the
nothing-
CAO because.
something, no, but if there's
she'll
nothing
have to come in
super
on Saturday or
pressing,
Sunday.
if there's nothing super pressing, Steve, we can.
No, and I can push it back to March, that's not a problem.
That'd be
And the
good.
only
Closer to
difference
the end
would
of
be
March would be great.
is I will send out the proposed budget by email before then, so that everybody can take a look. But by March, it'll be almost time for it to be in front of council, so.
Okay.
I will send it, so March, and I will come up Friday afternoon.
Friday afternoon is always the best time.
Somewhere around 3:00 and
Perfect.
awesome. And that's it for me, other than I'm gonna need to speak to you about health and safety training at some point, which you require.
Health and safety training.
Good times. Bye, Steve.
Have a good day, Steve.
This day is just
What's
running along here.
I'm telling you,
Nobody's getting in trouble.
Hey, why would you say that? You
Yeah,
just jinxed it.
I just
Right?
jinxed it. Yeah, but I'm leaving, so
Don't
I'm.
put it out there, Steve. Don't put it out in the atmosphere.
Oh, Steve.
See y'all later.
See you, Steve.
Want to
Bye.
carry on and do and finish, or do you want to take a break?
Sure, let's take a quick break. Why not? We got tons of time. Are you pausing this?
I am now.
Thank you. Annette? Excellent.
There, action.
Thanks a lot.
County of Renfrew update.
All right, so as I said earlier, it's not gonna be a County of Renfrew update. Oh, I will say, sorry, we are doing budget deliberations on Monday and Tuesday next week, so that's coming up. So just some tidbits from Roma. Number one, I want to thank Annette and Allison Holzhauer from Greater Madawaska. We had an amazing presentation and delegation with the Honorable Sylvia Jones, who's the Solicitor General. This was in regards to the OPP billing model. I think it went very, very well. If anybody wants a copy of this, I'm sure that we can get it for you. Brian Hunt, the mayor of GM, and I sort of tag teamed it. I think that Sylvia at one point actually sort of she knows what's going on, which was great. One of the things that I had asked for when we were first given the delegation was I asked if perhaps Deputy Commissioner Harkin should be there. The billing model does fall into his faculty as a DC. I also left a message for Chris and he showed up. So I think having him in the room was an asset as well, just so that he could hear our concerns. So what we said was the calls for service, we agree with. The concern we have is that there's a cause and effect to the push by the PC government to keep people out of long-term care and out of emergency rooms and out of the hospitals is to have a granny suite in your home or a secondary dwelling. It was a great idea. The problem is, or the challenge is, once MPAC knows that you have that granny suite or secondary dwelling as they call them, you are then charged a second base cost for OPP. So where one property would be $183, now it's 2 times $183. If you have a triplex, it's 3 times $183 for that base cost. Our feeling is you're not increasing your calls for you're not increasing the need for more policing in that base cost. It all hinges on the calls for service. So because my dad might live in our house, and my dad does not live in our house, but if my dad was living in an apartment in my house, him living there is not increasing the need for full-time or for vehicles, for buildings, etc., which is what the base cost is paying for. We used our fire departments as an example of, our needs in small rural are not the same as the needs in the larger rural that are, and I use the term suburban. I think it went very well. Brian and I both offered to be at the roundtable, so a task force to look into the billing model once again. And we were met with, yes, please do. So I think that Brian and I, as representatives of small rural in Ontario, and knowing the portfolio will certainly be an asset to that roundtable. So again, to you, Annette, and to Allison, great work. Thank you for putting that together. They put together all sorts of stats and numbers so that the minister had them right in front of her. Yeah, it made it it always makes it easier when you're able to give the minister something as opposed to trying to read it and make sure that the minister is absorbing everything as you're saying it.
The only difficulty I ran into with that is the minister tries to read it while you're talking.
Yeah, no, she didn't do that. Nope, she accepted it as information, but she obviously understands that there's a deficiency in the billing model. And I think our ask is, would you be willing to not legislate us to area rate those secondary dwellings, but give us the permission to do it if we so see. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this, out of the roundtables. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, so got to ask a question at the Bear Pit, and thanks again to Annette. Annette and I sort of workshopped. You only get one chance at the mic, so what was the most important things? Joint and several liability, I think, has been done to death, and somebody did ask the question about joint and several. The one thing I was kind of disappointed about was I was going to bring back the local share, which was the 1% increase in HST that would stay in your local municipality for infrastructure deficit. I was hoping somebody else would ask that question. They did not. And so that's something maybe to bring back at AMO. Yeah? Okay. So the question I did ask, this was to Minister Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Minister, municipalities have approximately 200 reporting requirements to the province during the course of a year, depending on frequency. This could equate to over 400 reports. We were advised that 93 of these reports were removed. Our Association of Clerks and Treasurers have not been advised which of these reports are no longer needed by your government. Can you tell us where we can find a list of these reduced reporting requirements? Steve Clark committed that they would put out this list. I'll tell you the challenge that Ned and I discussed. So they're saying 93. Is it 93 of the 200 or is it 93 of the 400? Because if it's 93 of the 400, you're potentially talking that they've only reduced it by, say, 20 reports. So we will wait with bated breath to see what reports are on this list. And I don't know if everyone knows, but Annette is on the AMTCO board you're a
Director at large.
director at large. Thank you. So, I mean, they know better than anybody that nobody has seen this list of reduced reporting requirements. This is something that this government said, less red tape, less regulation. So we want to see it. And if you want to, anybody that's on Facebook can go and they can see Minister Clark's response to me. I felt like it was one of the only questions asked that got a direct yes, we will do that. So I was very pleased with that. All right, next. We went to see the keynote speaker, Terry Riley or Terry O'Reilly? O'Reilly, thank you. His keynote address was about using storytelling as a way to promote your municipality. And he didn't necessarily use municipalities as examples, but he used such simple things. It was so interesting, and it'll be on the Roma website. I'm not even going to try and reiterate what Terry said, but his point was absolutely dead on correct. Storytelling invokes feelings. So instead of just trying to market your municipality, tell the stories that make your municipality one of a kind. And I really think Annette and Mayor Donahue from Adamston Bromley and I were standing together, and you could feel people going, that makes so much sense, right? So I turned to Annette and I said, that's the painting. So the painting I bought from the auction for Suits, it wasn't the painting that I got 400 likes and loves. It was the story behind it. That Dave found that website or that auction site for me after I had said over and over and over again that I wanted that painting. That's what got the likes, not the painting. So telling the stories that we have, and I mean, I was looking at Reflections of a Century when I got home, and I couldn't find the year, by the way. I was tired. But, some of those stories are the ones that we should be going back to saying, look, this is how Eganville was made. This is the history of Bonnechere Valley. So I think that's something that we should certainly, and that kind of flows into my economic development or community development that I added as number 5. These are things that I think I'd like to speak to Dana about maybe on our website and our Facebook page and in our newsletter, maybe have a tidbit of a story every time, or revolving stories on our website. I just, simple things like that. And there are so many. I mean, that book's got to be what, 8 inches? It's huge. You need both arms to pick it up. So I just think, we look at the Eganville Leader and we see, 75 years ago, 50 years ago, why not pull from some of those stories and use them? So it was awesome. All right, next, Modernization Fund. Minister Clark and Brian Roseborough, who is the executive director of Roma, both spoke about the modernization fund. I will say that once again, nobody is talking about buying buildings or building buildings or buying plow trucks. That's not what that fund is for. So I think Minister Clark brought that message back home again as well. There was one municipality that decided to, and we're doing this at the County of Renfrew, bringing all entities under one roof because they happen to have room for them. So that's why they felt that it would be more efficient to have everybody under one roof, or not everybody, I guess they moved 2 departments, I think, right? And then they rented out those buildings that weren't in use. But they're being very, very, very clear in their message that things like upgrading our cartograph, that's making you more efficient. If we've got our roads department out there with tablets that can do things on the fly, find a pothole, fix the pothole, picture of the pothole, it helps with our joint and several liability as well. So, again, cause and effect. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No.
It was a pretty clear message, though, that the examples they gave were not buying the creamery building. Just so everyone's aware. I also sat in as the past warden for with the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus with the multi-ministerial briefing. Wonderful to see so many ministers there. 6 of our own MPPs from Eastern Region were in attendance, including Jim McDonnell, who's the parliamentary assistant to Steve Clark. Steve Clark himself is the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. One of his other parliamentary assistants, Parm Gill, Laurie Scott, Minister of Infrastructure. Infrastructure. Christine Elliott, Minister of Health. Our own wonderful MPP, Minister Yakubuski. There were a lot of ministers in attendance. It was very well received. And our own new warden, Debbie Robinson, got to speak to the ministers about childcare and where the province is going with childcare in the future. So that was, I think, wonderful to see. She's fresh out of the gate and was given an opportunity to speak to the ministers, which I just thought was wonderful. Obviously, there were some thank yous going around about the EORN project, but also some hard questions. And I think that it was a wonderful thing for the 2020 caucus to allow some of us old timers to sit back in, because we do have skin in the game. These were priorities that we had set. The new priorities for the caucus won't be, for the 2020 caucus, won't be set until March. So realistically, the ones that they went in with were from the previous guard. So it was wonderful to sit in and see everybody. So that went very well. I think I'll stop there because I could go on and on, but as you can probably hear, this was an extremely worthwhile conference. The plenaries were excellent. I was disappointed. I wanted to go to another one on cannabis. When reading the briefing, when I opened it up, it was actually about personal use, like 4 plants in the house and that kind of thing. So I didn't bother going because that wasn't the purpose. I wanted to see more of the medical marijuana grow up and learn more about it, because every day something new unfolds in that program. So anyway, I didn't end up going to it, and that was fine. I went to it was a very busy conference. So I'm really glad that Annette and I had the opportunity to attend. Did you want to add anything to Roma?
No, I think
I think we're,
great.
yeah. Okay.
Just a little bit off topic, you were talking about medical marijuana production. I was watching a financial program on TV this week where a lot of the big companies are in the red. Some of them are going bankrupt.
Really?
I just wondered if ours was ever going to go ahead here.
I don't know. They're in
Because the
the,
black market is undercutting the price, and
they are in the potential rezoning phase. And then there will be a public meeting, and I'm sure at that, if we get that far,
the ones that are going bankrupt are showing red ink are 10 times the size of what we're looking at.
really. Interesting. Well, again, I didn't that,
No
that
investment
plenary
on
wasn't
that.
about that, what Patrick and Mark brought to us, that's not what it was for. So I thought, you know what, maybe at AMO they'll have a bigger one.
Well, it's like
Um,
most, it's like most things, like 2 businesses will go under and 100 new ones are gonna start. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
When I read that article, there's a lot more to it, but there's probably a lot more companies starting than closing. So
Yeah.
I think that's positive.
So did anybody have any questions for me about Roma? No, we're good? Okay, good, thank you, guys.
You know, flooding, flood mitigation.
Oh, we didn't do free dump pass for
Oh, free
2020,
dump pass, okay.
because we did council remuneration.
Yeah, we did the council.
So what was the question about free dump pass? Was that just
If we're going forward.
if we're doing it again? Look, guys, I'm a fan of not taking things away from residents. I think that keeps things out of ditches, and I think one free large dump pass, I think it's necessary. I understand it costs us, but in my opinion, I think we leave it.
Well, now we have a weight on it anyways, right? So-
Yes,
So it makes sense. So
And just for the positive side, since we've been doing that, I don't see fridges and stoves dumped on the side of the railroad.
exactly. Or barbecues,
For barbecue.
mattresses.
Mhm.
Well, that,
Those things don't cost regardless, right? Your fridges or your stoves.
Yeah, you can-
It's like
But your mattresses would.
Yeah.
mattresses, but like I say, a lot of the steel stuff, we don't, barbecues don't either. so
And I'm always amazed to see a barbecue on the side of the road,
it Makes no
because
sense.
I know, it doesn't.
Makes no sense.
I know.
But no, I fully support the dump pass for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so do we have a resolution? Do we need a resolution, or is that, we'll just advise, staff direction, we're good?
Yep.
Excellent, thank you. All right, yeah, flood mitigation. So let's all figure that with the precipitation that we had and the precipitation that we are going to have, including this Saturday, I think, and I know Jason's not here and the fire chief's not here, but I think that we need to be ready once again. So we were lucky enough, we didn't know in 2017 how quickly it was going to come. In 2019, that Tuesday, Jack said, I don't want to send up the alarm bells, but we better be ready. So on Thursday, we had sand and sandbags ready to go, and on that was Holy Thursday, and on Good Friday, our teams were dispatched at about 7 a.m. So I think that we might want to be prepared once again. Now we're realizing this is not a 100-year flood. I think we were lucky in 2018, but there is nowhere for this water to go, and it is heavy, heavy water snow.
And on top of that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if you've ever been to Barry's Bay now, I would say they got 1.5 times as much snow as we have. They've got a lot of snow.
Well, and Algonquin Park
Yeah, so
apparently is,
I have pictures and I should send them out to council. I've been taking along the way. There's fields already just behind the Wolf Ridge Golf Course. I witnessed the depth of the water on these fields already is unreal. I've been going through there for the last few years, and it's way more now already. If that freezes up again, where does that water go? It runs off, right? So no, the amount of snow load that we have up through the park and that right now is getting very close to, I would say, last year's
It's only
specifications, right?
I
So
I can touch on stuff that, I was gonna touch on EGC, but I can just as of this year, RPG is doing snow studies. They didn't do it previously. But prior to this last dump of snow, that's the time they were into the park. At that time, we already had 50 centimeters of snow in the park into our watershed. That was prior to our last dump. So with the last dump from this, and the question is of concern is there's frost in the ground now.
exactly,
So the snow is gonna run before it gets.
before it goes into the ground.
And last year, all things considered, we had some mild breaks and then freeze and mild breaks and freeze. If this breaks loose in a short time frame,
So Minister Yakubuski, of course, being MNRF, was asked at the Bear Pit about flood mitigation. One of the things that he said that I took very seriously is obviously there's a federal component, there is a provincial component, but they are also relying on the municipal sector to be smart about this. And I think in 2019, Bonnechere Valley was ahead of the curve. Am I saying that we had no flooding on Golden Lake? No, I'm not. But it was certainly a heck of a lot better than 2017. And so when Yak was talking about it, I know, you hear people groan and stuff like that, but he's correct. He's right in saying we all need to come to the party. We all need to be prepared. And so that's why I'm bringing it up today, even though Jason and the chief aren't here. We need to be ready for this. We need sand, we need sandbags, we need volunteers. And hopefully with your knowledge, you can let us know a few days in advance if you think, or if you're in the park, Tim, and you think, oh boy.
The whole frustrating part of the matter is though, we have a very good education or educated guess on what the solution is, but we're unable to achieve it.
Yes.
And that's the frustrating part. Anybody can really look and see that's involved, and we've been involved very in depth over the last while in all this mess. You can pretty well see what the solution is, but we're not allowed to do it. And that's very frustrating.
So-
the problem is, Tim, it's already too late for this year. Even if we were
Absolutely,
allowed to.
absolutely.
Like I'm just looking now, for example, and I was gonna touch on it in EGC, but since we're on it here, we still have 13 logs currently in Round Lake.
No, and you take a
So,
look at
you
that.
know, and realistically, we can go back, we can do whatever we can say, but prior to this plan in place, there'd probably be 1 to 2 or 3 in there. That'd be the most. The guys that were looking after the dam, the forms that were doing it, their whole mandate was to empty that down. And come.
Which makes perfect sense.
And that was what they worked to, right? Worked to that goal. Now, we have new plans in place. We have a drawdown that's in place. Apparently, the people that are delaying it right now, they want some more guarantees. There's a study that was done over 10 years ago that reflects lower areas in Round Lake that provides location for lake trout to spawn on. They want to be reaffirmed that those locations are there and they're still there. And that's where I think it's at. Now, there's another meeting coming up. I believe it's the 19th in February. I don't know if that's the exact date or something like that, where we're going to talk about this in more length. And who knows if it's going to warrant more tests, more study, more finance. You know, it's one of these games, but I think it's all going to come down to eventually we're going to have to realize that there has to be a decision. What do you want, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to go prior to the Bonnechere River Management Plan, or if you're going to live with what you have now.
And I mean, the other factor in this is it would be lovely to be able to move, like I'll just use Bulow Road. It would be lovely to be able to move all those cottages back that were built in the 50s. That's just not possible. So for our own residents, I think that we just need to be prepared and be out there and sandbag and do our best for the people that we represent. So if I may, could we add flood to when Jason and the chief are here at our next meeting? That would be great, because
Down my way, yeah. One of the cottagers has jacked theirs up last summer.
did they?
Another one has hauled in fill. Hawkins Road, where it always flooded, they've raised it 2 feet. Private road, they've raised it 2 feet.
What about Sleepy Hollow?
But
What about Sleepy Hollow?
You know, the Sleepy Hollow, yeah, some of them have hauled in fill and raised things up. But on the right side, in behind Bonnechere Lodge Park, on the right side, at the cottage there, they've jacked it up a couple of feet.
Wow, but you have to be able to afford that.
the sad part is, you know, I often hear the stories my dad says about, you know, when I was this old, that we could take our toboggans and go off the roof of the house, or you could see over the, with the drifts. So it's not like we didn't have abundance of snow load in the past, because these cottages were there 50 years ago. What has
Yeah.
changed? We've had a lot of snow load in the 70s and in the 60s. So what has changed and what's affecting our residents? And I think
So here's the other problem.
let's nail that down. I mean, and the sooner we can do that, the better it is.
Going back 2 years ago, when I was a young lad, not too concerned about rules and regulations, I had a little old wooden boat and I speared fish where the cottages are built in Sleepy Hollow.
You can't say speared fish anymore there.
And I just realized I said Beulah Road, I meant Belina Way. My apologies, I had Beulah on the brain. I will also tell you that I had the opportunity to talk to Graydon Smith, the mayor of Bracebridge. And they too are very concerned about the snow load in Algonquin Park, because it's coming to us or it's going to them. So,
Well, do both, because the
That's-
watershed is different. in different
Exactly.
locations, Right?
so they also have some pretty serious concerns.
And there's snow from the north coming down the Ottawa River.
Yeah,
But the thing you gotta look at, it's snow load, it's not really snow load, it's snow that we're used to having, it's just we didn't have snow for years, for these last couple of years, right? So now that we're just getting more snow, normal, like Tim was saying, it's more snow than we used to have all the time in the 70s and 80s. This is nothing for snow.
right.
But I think too, there was, back in 2000, and I don't quote me on the right year, but there was, we had one extreme, I think it was 2006, because my working in the bush in the winter, 2006 or 2007, there was already 13 or 14 feet at that time of snow that had
Whoa.
fell in the area. It was a really big snow deal, and we didn't have any flooding. So it's not that long ago. You can look back and see that.
Right.
So what has changed? And there's your answer, right? So-
Right. Okay, so I think that we as a council need to, we need to do exactly what we did in 19, right? We have to be prepared, and we have to allow, our staff, to go out and use their best judgment. But I will say that 17, we were behind the 8 ball, and I think in 19, we showed some really good best practices, so.
And now, this is just a question, but then it's more suited when Jason comes in, but is there a way, if we have some free time, I know there's not very much in our roads department, to go ahead and start filling some bags ahead of time and get in a dry location and get them, ready to go? Because, hey, if they're in a dry location somewhere, I don't know if there is any place, but
But we also utilized students from Opiongo and students from EDPS last year. And perhaps that is something that we should be looking at if we know that this is going to be another bad year. I know child labor, right?
No, I was just gonna say, if they have another day off of school. then they
Well,
can do
yeah,
something to work with.
absolutely, like.
It's
yeah.
free babysitting, and then it's more efficient for the kids to
Tuesday.
get exercise
Yeah,
and work.
last
Yeah,
Tuesday.
that's all I'd say. But no, I was gonna say, one of the things is, I was hoping when Jason's here next, maybe we can look at our budget too, is like especially the stormwater systems in town and stuff too, is just to like look at and just see if we can make the drainage planes better, and then,
That would be Daryl.
or is that Daryl's?
Well, it's
side
right,
of it?
Daryl and
'Cause I
Jason
figured them
together.
both be the
Crossover.
It's just kind of something when you look at the asset management plan.
Uh-huh.
So my other one was economic development. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on this. It turns out that I handed it off to our CAO, who can give it to Dana. There is a federal program that nobody seemed to know about. Apparently it was rolled out last June. And so we have that information to go forward with some potentials of some heightened economic development in our area. The other thing we found out is that there is now again a new fund for our museums, which was very exciting. So
Yeah.
I was hoping that Dana could look into that as well. We do need, guys, obviously working with our community development group. I think that we need to start brainstorming some really interesting ideas to go forward with them as a team. Are there things that you think that we should be doing? I know one of the things that I spoke to an official about in Toronto was the idea of winter carnivals, or not winter carnivals, but like snowman making and that kind of, and obviously ice skating, that kind of thing. the challenge for us is this freeze thaw, freeze thaw, freeze thaw. And, you know, do you do it year over year? What if you have one of those years that you don't get any snow? So, but just different things. So I think anybody that has an idea, I think we need to start spitballing, like what would bring people to our community? And I think that this is because of Terry O'Reilly and the storytelling. I think that we can incorporate some really neat things.
Hey, Chelsea buns have brought people to this town. for
Yes, they
30
have.
And because when I was growing up as a kid, I had friends that drove from Toronto to Lake St. Peter, and they specifically went out of their way to come grab Chelsea buns in Eganville and then bring them up to Lake St. Peter. It's out of their way to even like come here by a significant amount.
For sure.
But they
We
did
used
that.
to-
They did that, and they continue to do it. So
We would come up 41 to go to Osceola, and that was the stop in Eganville.
yeah,
That was the place to go. So but I think that, you know, that, Terry was talking about the nickel in Sudbury, the bird, was that Wawa?
Wawa, the
Wawa's got
Canada
the bird,
Goose.
yeah, the
Yep,
Canada Goose.
yep.
I know there's somewhere that's got a big ball of yarn. I don't know where that is. But-
Englehart, or Earlton has a big buffalo up there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and we have the rock, we need the signage for the rock.
so the signage for the rocks going on a bench in front of it. Because
Oh,
they
okay.
didn't want to actually. So that was part of like the redevelopment fund, pretty much.
Okay,
So Chris Hinsberger is making a sign for one of our benches. He's
perfect.
putting on just because he didn't want it, the rock's super old, and we didn't think it would do justice drilling into it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do like a monument, like
No,
a
so what-
hole
what-
with a,
Yeah, so what they're
Okay.
planning on doing is just signs can be placed on a bench in front of it and stuff.
great.
And then it's just easier.
perfect, nice. But I mean, we are the Ordovician capital of Canada. So, you know, why don't we use that? I mean, I was at a booth with the exhibitors for defibrillators. And the gentleman said, I know you, you're the mayor of Bonnechere Valley, you have caves. I said, well, actually, North Algona has the caves, but yeah, they're Bonnechere caves. I mean, we want them. But so, you know, we're known for Bonnechere caves. God love Chris Hinsberger and his, you know, all the stuff he's done. But I think that we can do more, and I want to see us do more.
Well, there's I look around the area too and pay attention to the events going on in the winter time,
Mhm.
frankly. But there's a lot of forestry operations that go on too, and there's the festival, I think it's this weekend coming up.
But the Round Lake, yes.
Round Lake.
The end of
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
Barry's Bay won the logging festival there, I think they stopped that.
I think they did
They
too.
did, and Barry's Bay has, Killer has picked it up,
Yes.
but there's a ton of work involved on it. They actually plant trees in, hopefully I don't talk too much, in barrels of ice, and they got a tree felling contest and all this.
Oh, that's neat.
But we wanna, hopefully if the weather's happy.
Well, I think what makes us unique is, for example, the dinner on the bridge is like that's like one event.
Absolutely.
And then like, well, this is what I said last time is that like, so you have the event dinner bridge, unique, we're probably the only people that do it. It's great. It brings people to town. But most importantly, you just invest into the city of the fireworks and make sure we have the best fireworks, or get
Yeah.
a big gemstone because we're the jewel of Bonnechere or jewel of Renfrew County. So you just get a big gemstone and put it downtown.
Are you paying for it?
No, you were.
So I just, no, but I just think, like, I'm not saying today, I'm
No.
just saying there are some funds out there that we need to be, I mean, Dana is amazing at writing grants. She's made it rain money in Bonnechere Valley. These grants are out there, let's go for them, right? Not just infrastructure grants. I know those are absolutely necessary for the health of our budgets, but there are other things, there are other grant opportunities out there that we need to take advantage of. And I think that Dana's the one to write those grants for us.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about a museum grant, I don't know if you're familiar with Preston O'Grady or not.
Mhm.
Talk to Preston, because one of the things, well, there's a couple of things there that's desperately needed. One of them is there's a walkway at the back that comes into the second floor of the fire escape, and the boards is all rotten. That needs replacing before somebody falls down and kills themselves.
And the wall,
And the wall
the
back
wall
there,
needs to
the
be
wall
fixed.
back there is, that's
It's-
two big things. in the-
it gets worse by the day.
Yes.
So,
And that walkway.
yes, in the walkway. But I think that those are things that we, you have to keep your eye on. And Why didn't we know about this ECDEV federal grant that apparently was out 8 months ago? Nobody at that booth seemed to know about it. Nobody. So elected and staff, we were all standing there and they were handing out these booklets. Not one of us knew about it. So
Well, I think.
you really have to keep your eye on things.
Well, especially like say in town here, like you have Centennial Park, we have Legion Field, and really, I think if we really want to rechange the town, kind of get more people to come in, get grants for those specific locations and stuff, or get community development group volunteers and stuff
Mhm.
together for them, and not just build new stuff, but reutilize the stuff. Like for example, like our park at Centennial Park is dialect most of the year. It'll be like the slide and stuff. So it's like investing in this stuff where we have Legion Field, make it more inviting for people to come there, right? So just because you have a tennis court that's kind of like neglected, and it's not that anyone's trying to, it's just we have to wait till grant money because we only have X amount of dollars to spend, right?
We've actually applied for a grant for the tennis court, I believe,
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah.
Not in my tenure. It's very disappointing.
No, it is, and same as like it's even like a coat of paint on say the soccer, like the soccer nets or the hydro booth in front of the one baseball diamond looks like it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of basic things like that, so the town doesn't look dumpy.
Mhm.
Like that's how I've always looked at it. You clean up the assets we have, and then once everything's all cleaned up, then we can look into other ones. But volunteers want to do stuff and make the town better, then we're all for it.
But I think that we have an asset that not many municipalities have. And that asset is the human component of the EACDG, right? They come up with very unique ideas and they absolutely want to work with the municipality on different projects. And I think knowing that we have that group, I think if we brainstorm and spitball some ideas, they will certainly take them back to their board to see how they can make it work. Just another thing that came out of Roma that I thought was very interesting. All right,
Anyway, anything else? Media session.
Oh, I'm good. Thanks, Murph.
I guess. Motion to conclude.
sure.
We're going to do EGC.
Sure. Can we take a break first?